because advocates of Olympic style lifts say you don't want to be going high volume. You guys don't know what high volume means. That just means more reps.
Right.
So in general, Olympic lifts are done high intensity, which means high load, low volume.
Right.
So what do you think?
I would agree. That's a concern. It's a concern for me. I don't think it's inherently dangerous like a lot of people proclaim. I think people are a little bit too easy to say that, but I think it is something you need to be concerned about for sure. But just to play devil's advocate for a second, that's not something that all Olympic lifting purists say.
That's true.
Actually, I just went to a USA weightlifting certification this past weekend, and she is actually part of CrossFit. She helps teach CrossFit weightlifting classes. So I asked her, in other words, like, what do you think about doing this complicated, it's fairly complex movements at high intensity where form is likely to suffer whenever you get fatigued? And she said she's okay with it. It just depends, like everything else that we talked about earlier. Safety is always an important component, but you need to evaluate the individual and see what their readiness level is to do Olympic lifting. If you take an Olympic weightlifter and have them do a high-intensity workout, their form is less likely going to be affected as much as somebody who isn't very good to start off with, because they've already got that motor program to where they can do it consistently, eyes shut, high intensity, about to die. They have it in there, they can do it, you know, as opposed to people who aren't as familiar with it. But I think that's not unique to Olympic lifting. It could be a deadlift. Even a deadlift, whenever you have somebody do deadlifts, high intensity or high volume, if they can't do that movement over and over without having to think about it consistently, then they shouldn't be doing it at high intensity. A prerequisite for doing high intensity workouts is you need to be familiar with the movements, and you need to be able to do it without a lot of thinking, because whenever you're doing high intensity workouts, you're not thinking the whole time like, how's my form, how's my safety? You're just thinking like, this is what I need to do. So, and that's how people can get hurt whenever they progress a little bit too fast.
So I'm going to assume the answer to your question, because you said anyone can do CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
definitely.
Because I talk to a lot of people who believe that CrossFit's only within a certain age range, right?
Right.
So and I know that, I think you put on Facebook some 90-year-old man doing deadlifts or something.
Oh, that was great.
So how would you explain how somebody who's really deconditioned, let's say obese and overweight, because people think of CrossFit of doing like kipping pull-ups, muscle-ups,
Yeah.
deadlifting, like somebody who's obese or somebody who's really old.
Mm-hmm.
How could they go into a CrossFit gym and actually get a good workout that's appropriate?
The same way you would with any personal trainer. You always modify things. So whenever people think of CrossFit, they think of the things that you said, lots of heavy weights, Olympic lifting, muscle ups, that kind of thing. But everything's modified to the individual. So if you have a workout, any movement is modifiable. If somebody tells you it's not modifiable, they're probably not very creative. So let's take the squat, for example. You could have a guy squat with 400 pounds on his back at high volume and high intensity like that. But you could also, if we're talking about an elderly individual, the application for them for a squat is just sitting down in a chair. So you can have them sit down, stand up. And that's probably even too hard for some people. So you could have them sit on a higher chair where there's not as much demands on the lower extremities and the hip extensors. So you can have them sit on something higher. And then the CrossFit component would be introduced in the fact that you could time that movement, and you could add additional exercises that kind of make it a more well-rounded fitness program.
Okay, Bill, tell me this. Why is it when, personally, my own experience again, like I've gone into CrossFit boxes and it's like all different.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone into a CrossFit gym and I saw somebody doing bicep curls.
Was that D's in there again?
Maybe. And then I said, hey, what's up with that? I mean, he said, hey, that's what we do here. You thought you knew about CrossFit. So what it seems like is CrossFit's just this name. I mean, that's just what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's a name that you can purchase, I guess, a franchise, and just do whatever the heck you want. You can do program design, you want to do bicep curls, you do bicep curls. I mean, in order to have a CrossFit box, are there any parameters, anything that you have to follow to stay within their franchise? Or can I just put machines in there and not even have a rowing machine? Or
I wouldn't be a good person to speak to that question. I haven't looked into the qualifications that it takes to open up your own gym. But I would imagine, I do know for a fact that there is a lot of variation between one box to another, because the founder is an avid libertarian. So he his philosophy or his belief is that each gym should be owned and independently operated. You know, you pay your monthly dues, but he thinks that each box should operate on their own parameters. So one gym may be super high competitive athletes, and you may be able to walk across the street, and they may cater to senior citizens. So you'll have very, very different experiences, even among coaching quality. Some CrossFit coaches are highly educated, highly self-educated, highly educated through CrossFit because they offer a lot of additional continuing education programs. But others, I can almost guarantee there's people who maybe got their level 1 certification. That might be a qualification. Having a level 1 certification, which is $1,000 in a weekend course, and then you can open up your own gym. So, you know, would I want to go to that gym versus one of the other gyms? I'd definitely go to the other gyms. So that's where consumers need to do a little bit of research and see, check out the quality of the coaches. And some people might not know what a quality coach looks like. So that's where people like you and I can come in and help educate people and friends and say, look, these are the kind of things you want to look for in a CrossFit gym.
I remember when I first met you, Bill, we had a little debate on what would elicit the best adaptations as far as muscle hypertrophy and enlargement of the skeletal muscle, right? Yeah. Okay, so you were saying that you believe that CrossFit is the best thing for that. What it sounds like now, because the whole thing that my argument was about specificity, saying that, hey, I mean, if you take bodybuilders, they're doing a traditional split routine, right? And that's eliciting an enlargement of their skeletal muscles, and they're looking really big. Now, they probably suck at running a mile. They probably suck at everything, but they just look big, and that's all they care about. And your response was, well, they're on anabolic steroids. You were saying that these traditional Olympic lifts will elicit a hormonal response as far as an increase in testosterone growth hormone, which I agree. But at the same time, I still think that you can get bigger off a traditional split than you can with CrossFit. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Okay. So you flipped your stance. You're a flip-flopper, Bill.
Yeah, probably.
So what you're saying is I'm right.
You're definitely right.
Yes!
I don't remember the context of the conversation, but yeah, I'd definitely say if I wanted to get stronger, I would do strength training. But there is a small gap there between what people say and the truth, because the truth is there's a physiological response to CrossFit, doing these high-intensity functional movements that is being researched pretty heavily right now, because you would think that the responses, the strength and the power responses wouldn't be what they are given the amount of variation there is in the workouts. But in my opinion, because of the commonality in the efficient movements, being able to develop those powerful muscles is what kind of lends itself well to being able to produce strength and power in all different aspects. So you'll hear a lot of stories of people who have, I mean, I know that you know one person I'm talking about who was a bodybuilder, and then all of a sudden they started doing CrossFit and they started making personal records in all different aspects of their strength training. So I'm talking about you, Mom.
Oh, okay.
So all of yeah, I did it quietly, so in case you didn't want to hear heard. But yeah, so I mean, what's the discrepancy there? This guy's been strength training, he's been a bodybuilder forever, and then all of a sudden he starts doing CrossFit and he starts making personal records. So you could say, I know it's a long video. You could say that that maybe he wasn't programming right. Maybe he wasn't optimizing his strength program. Maybe that's a little bit true, but I mean, there's got to be something there. I mean, you don't just.
But is he looking bigger though?
I haven't seen him in a while.
Okay, we can keep talking forever. But yeah, this is a great video, I think. If you guys like this video, we can go ahead and make another one, because we have conversations like this all the time. So
yeah, this is all we talk about.
Okay. Yeah, with Bill, remember we're driving up to Houston the whole time and talking about CrossFit?
Yeah, it was like this. CrossFit. CrossFit.
Okay, say one more thing, common question about CrossFit that you get the most.
Common
misconception, just something that you want to clear up, just something that anything?
I think we've covered it. Most common thing is just the injury rate. I think that's main people's concern. They think it's kind of stupid. They think like, why should I do something like that? It looks very aggressive and it looks kind of crazy. But just keep in mind, everything can be modified. You know, using that example I gave with the 90-year-old who's sitting down, standing up. everything can be modified, and when modified appropriately, it's very effective, especially for older individuals, because high intensity work is something that they don't really focus on much in their life, and it's something that can help them with something like fall prevention. Falls are huge in the elderly, and a lot of it is because even those who do work out do very, very low intensity, so their nervous system isn't. I should stop talking.
Yeah.
Anyways,
stop talking, dude.
It can be.
Hey, stop talking.
Just injury rate. Okay, it's not as big of a concern as people make it out to be. Sorry.
No worries. All right. If you like this video, make sure to like it, and then tell them to subscribe to my channel.
Hey, subscribe to this guy's channel. Not only is he smart, educated, but look at that smile.
Photoshop that, make it bigger.
Yeah, and those biceps. Whew.
All right, till next time, guys.